It was just something we never ever considered compromising on. Like, in fact, we kind of overcompensated because beforehand, we would 100% check people in person. You're meeting them, they know that you're there, your boots on the ground, you're actually there. The lobby is precious, it's adorable, it's comfortable, you can vibe with these people. People often just stick around to talk and ask questions just because, like, they're just enjoying the people so much and the service right there and how passionate everybody is about the food and the drink and the attractions and everything. So, like, genuine conversations happening in our office. And then 2, when you see this person and you're gonna be talking to them on the phone and you know that they're in town to fix your problems, if you're at the cabin and you have an issue, you've had that experience with them already, you call them and you speak to them more respectfully.
You're listening to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, a podcast for those who are in and around the hospitality industry who love, live, and breathe what they do. You can join us for candid and unscripted conversations with hospitality experts and founders as we go deeper into their personal stories while they're sharing their triumphs and trials that got them to where they are today. I'm your host, Will Slickers, and you're listening to an episode of Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast. Now, let's begin. What's up, Slick Talkers? I want to do dynamic duo sponsorship placements for our partners, and the best dynamic duos I could put together for you are our first one of Hostfully and Minute. Now, you probably heard our Minute with Minute segment with Nathan Smith over at Minute. If I could say Minute 1,000 times, then I will. But basically, if you are using Hostfully's property management platform, then you can go to their integration marketplace and turn on your integration with Minute. So that way, everything is operating seamlessly in your hub to run your business without any issues and headaches. It just is so nice to have proper integration partners together. And I couldn't be more thankful for these two partnering with us on the podcast. So make sure you check out the show notes because we have special offers just for you from both companies, Hostfully and Minute, because you're a listener of the podcast and they love taking care of our listeners. So check out the links in the show notes. And of course, like always, thank you for tuning into the podcast. Now, back to the episode. Lauren Madewell, my friend, how are you doing today? So good to see your face.
It's so good to see your face, Will. I'm doing good today. I'm the happiest today I've been so far. I've been looking forward to this. I got my coffee ready to go. I got my Nalgene ready to go. You and I have already had some banter. Wished we were smoking it up together, but
Hey,
rain check.
wish we were already in person, January Joe Rogan styling this podcast. But hey, that day will come. That day will come. Our listeners, just an FYI, make sure when that episode does go out, you watch the YouTube version. It'll be way funnier, but I'll give you a lot of context outside of the audio. But this episode has been in the making for a while. I've been dying to get you on the podcast just because of the voice that you have in the industry, the brand you've been creating around your content, around what you guys are doing in the Smokies. So, like, I'm just excited to talk to you. You've become a good friend too, just lots of banter over LinkedIn, which for all those who aren't on LinkedIn, what are you doing? Get on LinkedIn. It's so much fun. Anyways, I want to know just from our conversations, I feel like I'm pretty caught up where you are today, but I don't know how you got here. And I would love to know, where does it all begin for Lauren?
Oh, such a story, honestly, little drama involved. So 2009 was when my family inherited Antebellum's Cabin Rentals. 2009, I was in college. I think my second or third year of college to be an air traffic controller. I was getting my degree in air traffic management in Georgia when my dad got a call that his cousin had passed away. And then shortly after that, he got another call that she had left 51% of the business to him in the will, this cabin rental business. And he was like a top dog at a rubber manufacturing plant all over the country and has plants throughout the world. And so this was nothing he was used to, but he knew she wanted her people taken care of. So he was coming to Tennessee and spending all of his time here, making sure the business affairs were taken care of, the people were taken care of, and just trying to figure out what to do with the business. And he pretty quickly fell in love with it and the people and just being here in the mountains, and he had a home to stay in. So he I don't remember how long it took him, maybe a year, I think less than 2 years for him to quit his other job and just do this full time. So he moved to Tennessee permanently. My mom stayed in Georgia so that myself and my sister, we had scholarships, see out our scholarships. And then it might have been 3 weeks after I graduated college where I just packed up and moved to Tennessee to be with my dad. I still had plans to be an air traffic controller, but you do have to take, like, some government tests for that, and I just had no interest in these government tests whatsoever. There was one test in particular I knew I wouldn't be able to pass, so I had to get my stuff together for that, but I fell in love with the area, the people, the the business, and so I told dad, I was like, "I'm so sorry I wasted all this time and money in college, but, like, I don't wanna do air traffic controllers," and he was like, "That's cool, babe. I just want you to be happy." So he was happy to have me right beside him and did that, and then since then, like I said, he inherited 51%. Since then, he's bought out the rest, so he's full owner now, and I'm its succession plan, me and my sister, because my sister's been with us for a year. She did air traffic controlling in Puerto Rico and in Vermont, and so did her husband, and they left it all behind to move to Tennessee so that she could be with Antebellums, and he's just trying out all sorts of things to get his footing here. So he actually works for, like, a local furniture shop. He's building beautiful wood furniture for our cabins and stuff, and he seems to like it, but that's how we got to Tennessee, that's how we've got Antebellum's Cabin Rentals. We've had it for what, 14 years now, is that the math? Yeah, been
Wow.
in our family for 14 years now. Yep, and I
Wow, you
basically
have such a oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say basically been there since the beginning. There was, like, one sabbatical that I of, like, 11, 10 years ago maybe, where I was just like, "You know what, dad? Like, I'm young, I'm creative, I'm independent, like, I gotta spread my wings, man. I don't know if this is it for me." So he was like, "Oh, okay, babe, whatever makes you happy." And so I traveled for like 6 months, like backpacked Europe, but
Wow.
or no, was it Europe? Was it the West Coast? Backpacked something for a while, and then just I'm a writer, I love to write, so then I just spent, l you know, time devoted to writing, which is something I'll probably never get to do again, not like that, and bartended for 6 months as well and just put a lot of money in my bank account through bartending, but man, that wears the heart out, that wears the mind out, it wears the body out, so, like, I only lasted 6 months bartending. If you knew the situation I was working at, it would it would explain itself, but and I just woke up one day and I was just like, "What am I doing?" Like, I love Antebellum's, the company. I love hospitality. I love those people. Why would I not wanna spend 5 days a week in that environment? And so, just kinda grew up and turned a corner.
I think we all have that moment where we're like, "I'm a peacock, dad, you gotta let me fly. Let me spread my wings and,
Mm.
go above and beyond." But it's so true though when I think when you get to experience something pretty special like that, your whole family getting to get involved, and sounds like you're pretty close with your dad and your sister and brother-in-law. So it's like, yeah, I think your heart was probably ready to just like, "Okay, I just need to show myself that I can go out and
Mhm.
try this, but I know where I wanna go back, and I don't need any more of this," which I think happens to a lot of people. We all just kinda need to see what's happening outside the wall most of the time.
Mhm.
Just like, "Okay, there's an
Oh, yeah.
outside." Yeah,
I've heard so many people in this industry say they left and then the hospitality industry and then they came back. Yeah, I hear it from online on LinkedIn. Again, what are you doing if you're not on LinkedIn? That was such a game
amen.
changer for me.
So you do get to see, like, there's an outside, right? Like, there's more
Oh.
beyond antebellums. Getting to be a part of such a cool environment, I would be curious to know, because it sounds like you're more on the creative side.
Mhm.
So how did that start to where, like, when your first day, hey, all right, I'm back. You had your 6 month period, I think around a 6 month period to take time off, to then where you are today. How has your role evolved? I know you've been involved a lot, and then I want to touch on something around your content, your LinkedIn content, your TikTok content. Like, all your content is hilarious. I fucking love it. So I just think it's so good, and I want to talk to you about it. But anyways, from back from sabbatical to today, how much has your role changed, and what do you think has really changed with the business, with being so family oriented and such a core part of the business?
Mm. So my role has changed drastically, and I pretty much just been changing it myself. So when I came back from sabbatical, it was reservations for a while. And I would say up until gosh, December 2021, I was just like in the shit, like just working, just head down working. It was December 2021 was when I went to the Women's Summit, Amy Hinote's Women's Summit in New Orleans. I was not on LinkedIn at the time. I'd I was not plugged in. I was not involved at all. I'd never made a video or anything. And it was then they were like, "Lauren, you need LinkedIn. It's crazy that you're not on there." And then just
Mhm.
from there, and then posted my first video maybe a couple months later, and I was like, "Oh my god, people love videos. This is great." But, yeah, I started off in reservations for a while. I couldn't do that repetition, day in, day out repetition. I could not handle it, so I was always looking for a project, something to fix, something to do, something to sink my teeth into and take my time with. On a bad day, I was challenging old policies, old procedures, and old norms, which I was pissing off some of my managers. They love me now. We worked through that, but I just kinda started coming into my own where I would say, "Why don't we do this?" And the response would just be, "Well, that's not how we do things. Why?" They didn't know why. Okay, well, then why wouldn't we try this new way? They didn't have anything for that. Just simply change. So, like, I've just been ushering my teams through change for years. They love me for it and they hate me for it. So so I pretty quickly, like, my dad realized how restless that I was in reservations and that, like, I needed a better role to be able to, like, challenge challenge people and help us grow. I needed a role that would accommodate that so that they could maybe respect it a little bit more. I don't know. Things can be complicated when there's family, you know what I'm saying? And then people who have been here longer than the family too. So it was tricky, but everybody did know we did everything with a good heart. We were looking out for their best interests, the guest's best interests, homeowners' best interests. I always saw my dad operating that way, and it was easy for me to pick up like what's the most fruitful result is just always something that I focused on, whether or not I had the words for that or not. Like, what's going to be the most fruitful? And so when they saw that in me, that's when they kind of learned to just trust, hey, whatever idea Lauren's got, let's just roll with it. It'll end up being good. And so I went from reservations to like, I think he was just calling me junior manager for a while. So he would just take me around town, have me on more phone calls, pass things off to me. Eventually, after maybe a couple year or 2 of that, he was having me take over all, like, hopeful homeowner, potential homeowner phone calls. So I was doing that in 2019, maybe before the pandemic, and then things just got crazy during that time. So once again, like, head down, just in the shit, working, and working with potential homeowners before the pandemic and then during the pandemic was just the biggest, sloppiest slap in the face ever. Like, I just can't believe how quickly the game changed in a matter of months and what those conversations were like and what working with those real estate agents was like. I mean, it was so hard and so brutal. And, oh, to this to this day, I'm just exhausted thinking about it, like, fingers going to the temples, like, calming myself down just thinking about it. So that's what Mallory's taken off my plate right now. And I was largely working with onboarding potential homeowners and doing all, like, in-house owner communication for the past 4-ish years, but over the past 2, I've really worked within my teams to let them know, like, I want your team, your department to be the best it could ever be. What does that look like to you? Here's what it looks like to me. Let's spend the year doing it. So 2022, I spent not embedded, but embedded in reservations, improving that department, the systems, the processes, the platforms, the technologies, the just the communication with the guest, being proactive and servicing the guests and helping them on their vacation, constantly tinkering with text message templates, email templates to make them personable and relevant, and just constantly tweaking to get response and feedback to learn from these guests and what they want and need during their trips and what they expect and then too working on as much as guest satisfaction I spent 22 largely working on employee satisfaction because, like, it just it it was a light bulb moment for me, like, if I want these guests to have the most incredible customer service experience ever, like genuinely impressive, and they will remember us because that customer service experience was just like something you just don't ever experience anymore. If I wanted that, it had to be sincere. Like
Mm,
I couldn't have a fake it till you make it. I couldn't have scripts. It had to have been sincere. So the only way to do that was to make sure that my employees just felt secure here, happy here, looked after, that they were having a good time, that they knew that they could socialize, s
mhm.
like, become friends, socialize, have a good time. I don't expect you to be on 100% of the time, like, n 90% of the time, 85% of the time. Other than that, talk, get close to one another, like, I put board games in the office, because I don't want them on their phones, like, that was a change that they hated, but they understood. No being on your phones at the desk. Go to the bathroom, go outside, step away, but don't be on your phone at your desk because whatever you're experiencing on your phone, when you answer that phone call, you're gonna transfer that voice, that vibe, that energy, and more often than not, you're probably gonna feel annoyed that a phone call interrupted your scrolling. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, like, I told him, like, I'm guilty of it too. So I got, like, a charging block for back of the house where they could keep their phones, keep them charged, visit them as much as they want. I don't care. But I didn't want taking their phones away just from their desk to I didn't want them to think that, like, that meant I wanted them to stay busy all that time. It just meant I want them talking, socializing, communicating with each other, whatever that looks like. They started like a book swap program. Like I said, we had
Mm.
board games and stuff, coloring books, trivia, just all sorts of stuff. And I think that was a little corny, to be honest with you, a little tacky, but it was more the gesture than anything. It was more managing expectations than anything. I play Jenga more than they do with myself.
I would be joining you right there. I probably would never get any work done because of that. But
Oh,
honestly, it's
yeah.
better than a pizza party, right? Like I think when you're doing things that change the everyday rather than they're a special occasion that they earned, right? I
Right.
think that sends a better message than saying like, "Oh, we hit revenue goals and you're not seeing any of the benefit, but here's a pizza." Like that
Yo,
type of
mhm.
approach is so different. I'm curious to know. I have so many questions around your leadership kind of approach and the way you look at your role versus the role of the team and other things. But one of the things I really want to talk to you about actually, you getting to see this environment and this industry pre-COVID, it's the new BC and AD, right? Pre-COVID and
Yeah.
after COVID. So pre-COVID, you're getting to see how real estate investors are looking at short-term rentals. You're getting to see how homeowners interact and engage with this type of industry to then COVID accelerating our industry 5 years ahead than where it was so quickly, so fast, and having all that change. You know, you said talking about maintaining the service standard. How can you have your guests feel, that they really walked away with such a good experience with you guys, that they just like you really truly sincerely made them feel special? And I feel during COVID, even brands like Marriott, Hilton, the big names that I know and love, failed in that area a lot
Mm,
during COVID. It just went completely downhill, cutting
mm,
everything. Employee satisfaction was down the drain. Travel was nuts, but we didn't get service. Remember checking into a Marriott as a gold reward Bonvoy program person and just being like, all right, your room's up the 10th floor. Walk up there, there's stuff in the fridge. No one said Mr. Slickers or my name. Like all the standards were out the window. Basically, what I'm trying to say. How did you guys maintain the service standard of wowing the guests, especially with all this kind of craziness happening around? You know, how did you carry pre-COVID into COVID when it came to your service standards?
well, gosh, it was just something we never ever considered compromising on, like, in fact, we kind of overcompensated because beforehand, we would 100% check people in person. You're meeting them, they know that you're there, your boots on the ground, you're actually there. The lobby is precious, it's adorable, it's comfortable, you can vibe with these people. People often just stick around to talk and ask questions just because, like, they're just enjoying the people so much and the service right there and how passionate everybody is about the food and the drink and the attractions and everything. So, like, genuine conversations happening in our office. And then 2, when you see this person and you're gonna be talking to them on the phone and you know that they're in town to fix your problems, if you're at the cabin and you have an issue, you've had that experience with them already, you call them and you speak to them more respectfully because you you can relate to them. They're just like you. They're there. You know what I'm saying? And so what what changed was we had to do 100% virtual check-in. So we were no longer getting to see the people. And very, very quickly, we were like, "Oh my god, without that interaction, without feeling them out, them feeling us out, without them knowing that we're boots on the ground, the quality of communication, the quality of reviews, just the conditions we were finding our homes in is terrible, like,
Mhm.
significantly crazier than just a few months before. And so, immediately, we were like, "Okay, what do we do to create that trust, build that relationship? What do we do to vibe with them like we would if they were here in person?" So that's just kind of when we really started going hard on text messaging and really genuine, sincere, personalized templates that we could then customize or, just going off script and not using a text template whatsoever, but just not relying on emails, like
Mm.
text messaging, not relying on phone calls because people don't like to answer their phone on vacation. So just texting was just such a game changer and being personable with it and using emojis and having a sense of humor in your text message, and just not being afraid to try and make your guests laugh. So, yeah, it was a few months of us realizing that not having that in-person connection was creating more negative circumstances for us. It took us a few months, and then, like I said, we just began to overcompensate. Like, what can we do to make them comfortable and to, like, relate the fact that we're human beings and we deserve to be treated as good as you wanna be treated. And so, I mean, we're always our customer service was always next level, but we buckled down on that to kind of combat negativity, and in doing so, the response was so amazing, it was so successful, then I was like, "Well, let's double down on this customer service." Like, it's free to be kind and accommodating and proactive and funny. It's free, and the effect that it has on your guests is just out of this world, so now we literally delight and take pleasure in treating each interaction like potentially it could be a friend, like, just having fun. My girls are just having fun. I want them to have fun with every interaction. That is not the case. There are some people whose minds you can't change, but they know we want them to have fun, loosen up, be casual, just make them comfortable. Eh. It's a a long-winded response, but
I love
I
it. I think
yeah,
speaking out about that's the best way.
yeah, yeah, so it was, that realizing, like, "Oh my god, they love this, let's give them more." Then all of a sudden, you're realizing, like, the monetary value in
Mm.
that, and you yeah, you can start quantifying that hospitality, you can start quantifying that kindness, and then when you do, you just expand on that and build on that, so, I was telling you I have so many projects I'm working on, well, it's just all just aimed at the guest experience and creating repeat guests, so, yeah, like, I don't know, it just yeah, you did hear a lot of people really struggle their way through the pandemic, and I mean, we did operationally with maintenance and inspections and housekeeping, like, I do think they were dangerously close to experiencing legitimate burnout. And so there was writing on the wall for the 2023 to slow down. And so we were comforting them with that, And so while we were worried about it with bookings and stuff, we got to comfort our staff with like 2023 is slowing back down. It's going to go back to the old way. You can get a deep breath. At the same time, January 1st, we offboarded 20 of our most dated problematic properties when the homeowners weren't willing to make changes. So then not only did we have slower bookings going back to historic trends, we just kinda trimmed the fat and made our program smaller and more these were the homeowners we were familiar with, the relationships we were familiar with, and, that gave them so much comfort. So they just took a big, you know, big breath. They just felt so relieved going into 2023 for a number of reasons, and, 2023, I was gonna dedicate to, like, how I did it with the reservations department, the maintenance department, inspections, housekeeping, and just revamping that department, embedding myself in there, letting them know that I'm looking out for their best interests. But for the most part, the 2 maintenance managers, they picked up the gist of what I was laying down. They're changing their own policies, they're changing their own procedures, having meetings, having one-on-ones, working out kinks, and then 2, they it was their first time to catch up because, like, 2021 and 22 was just reacting. It was their first time to catch up, and I saw how busy they were improving properties and catching up on everything and crushing work orders that I really didn't wanna step in and be like, "How can we make this the best department ever?" Like, I'm gonna give them a year, and maybe I'll step in next year in that capacity, but yeah. Yeah, it's
Especially when you
so
trim. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, so I think if Rhonda heard me say, "Yeah, no, we just really enjoyed making improvements through the pandemic," I think she'd be like, Yeah, Lauren, no, go to hell," but you pick up what I'm laying down.
Yeah. No, I love it, and especially when you trim the fat, I think, like, now that just gave your team a better, like you were saying, a curated experience, a more curated experience for your guests, and then you're able to see your maintenance team just crush it because, like, "Oh, I don't have to worry about the 21 problem children that were just the worst to work with and caused
Yep,
most of my time to be delayed to getting to this stuff." So,
yep.
yeah, that's amazing. That's
Mhm.
really amazing. I love it. Okay, so you talked about it a little bit, and this is where I just look forward to logging into LinkedIn every day because of your posts. And I think I even started following you on TikTok because of my late
Yeah.
night aimless scrolling habits, but you have some of the funniest content. And I think what you even just said with your whole team and the way you engage with guests and like not being afraid to be using emojis and making your guests laugh and like having a sense of humor is okay. You don't have to be from like my background, like a hi, Mrs. Madewell, sorry. Hi, Mrs. Madewell. I'm Will, and welcome to this hotel or property, and da, 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 like all proper and put
Uh-huh.
together. Having that, what made you, what inspired you, I guess, mostly on to create your first post that was hilarious, and then to go into finding out like what worked and like I'm sure you get plenty of enjoyment from creating these types of content, but you're just the only person I really see, at least from the property manager side, that actually does
Yeah.
out of the box thinking with their content versus a lot of us are guilty as posting a picture of a home. Here's 20% off or a discount code, link in bio, whatever type promos and stuff that we do. And then just like letting that become our social media campaign. You go the opposite route and create hilarious shit. So I would love to know just all the stuff behind it because it's so good.
Okay. Well, we we actually have no idea what we're doing. We're terrible with social media, but my sister and I just share, I think, a remarkable sense of humor. I mean, we haven't made videos of the things some of the things we'd like to make videos on, but we each other up spitballing these video ideas. Some of them are just so ridiculous, but what we're learning is just when we go to post that video and we're like, "Okay, we've gotten too weird." Nope, now that's the most popular video. So, we've just learned that people's, obviously, senses of humor are just incredible. Like, we all are scrolling late at night, Like, the world's sense of humor is just so incredible right now and so weird that, like, oh, it can just be so off the wall. And, okay, so we were having fun posting some videos. Largely, I was posting my first video, and the videos I was posting was just about, like, property management and, kind of making fun of, honestly, I was making fun of the people with their investment properties because now I wasn't dealing with people on vacation home, I was dealing with people with their investment properties.
Mhm.
And they took themselves so seriously, and the projections that they would bring to me, and they would say, "This is what I expect on a yearly basis," were just, uh they were laughable if it wasn't such a serious thing? And then I was trying to call out real estate agents, and I was upsetting real estate agents, so then they were just getting so sassy with me, and acting like gatekeepers to the information, even though they've never tried to work with the short-term rental company in a management capacity. But I was catching such a hard time from real estate agents. It's like none of the opinions were based in reality at that point, and I was watching property management companies all over the place just completely slash and compromise on their commissions just to vacuum up all these new people entering the market, and I'm just like, "Okay, well, that's gonna be a nightmare in 2 years." So I just kinda made a video poking fun on that to see if anybody else related to what I was going through, and they did, and I was blown away because I was like, "Am I being too intense right now?" No, the response was just incredible. So, like, the first video series was STR realities, like STR realities,
Mm.
and, yeah, it was just kind of dark property management humor, like the woes we were going through. And so that kind of phased out into more fun, lighthearted stuff when the market was kinda starting to neutralize and I wasn't hearing from 10 investors a day, and I had time to, again, just work on employee satisfaction and guest satisfaction, and a part of that was like, "Well, we should make videos together," like, and so we would get with the team, and we still do, and, like, "What are some funny video ideas?" And, yeah, where it started off kind of like traditional funny advertising and marketing, quickly pivoted to just make a video about anything that you want and just throw your logo on at the end. You know? And so we were kind of thinking in that direction, and it was John Stokinger, Conrad, and Margot, and they did a little, like, Gen Z how to market to Gen Z, and they were just talking about, like, what Gen Z they like, they appreciate, they really dislike, and essentially it was they just like sincerity, like, they can clock sincerity like this, they can clock fake like this, and they really distrust traditional advertising because they've watched the millennials and now themselves as they're getting older get taken advantage of constantly, and so they're just looking for genuine, sincere, they're looking for funny. Funny is what keeps the view longer than just a couple of seconds, just a few seconds, and so, I don't know, like, it was just I was telling somebody, I was like, "I make all these videos, and I kinda want other people to make videos too. I can't believe that a bunch of other property managers aren't making these videos, like, it's so easy. You got your cell phone, you got the editing on your phone, it's so." And then somebody was like, "It's not. It's not." Like, to have the time to do that, to have the creativity to do that, to have the humor, to have the staff who's okay with it and will actually, like no, it's hard for these things to come together, so, like, Elaine and Lance at Seaside Vacations, they've been doing videos, and I just love them for it. I love them for it so much. They're having a blast. I think their employees are having a blast. But again, a bunch of words. I never started off knowing what I was doing. We still don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to keep up with trends. We have yet to do our first TikTok trend. I look forward to it. But like
I look forward to it too, like
I was always so late with this stuff. Like, it takes me, like, 2 weeks to realize, like, "Oh, that was a trend. That was a trending thing that just happened. Oh, I could have used that," and then they're on to something else. So, like, it's literally on in my ideas notebook, like, just study TikTok, I think is exactly what it says. I don't even know what that means, but just just goofy. We're just having fun. If we have the free time for it, let's go make a video. And as we've learned that as much as people like and when I say learned, I just mean counting the number of likes and views.
Mhm,
We've just learned that people like funny and they like cabin tours. And so
mm.
we're just kind of focusing on those 2 things. I wanna do more videos where I'm recommending local businesses, but every
That was
time I
my
go and get
favorite
the
one. It's my favorite one. When you're
oh, when we mispronounced everything? Is that the
mispronounced
one you're
everything,
not
and then also when you're in the car and you're, like, promoting the cannabis shop, and then all of a sudden your
oh,
car's all smoky and
yeah.
that's what
Yes.
got me so pumped, and I think I remember I immediately messaged you on LinkedIn. I was like, "That video was so good." It just really got me going. I was just pumped.
I had a blast making that one. An
Oh, I bet.
absolute blast. Yeah, it was just a match that I lit. It was like and then, like, quickly had to do that before the
Yeah.
smoke went away. I wasn't actually smoking because I was driving around town, but that they never did join the Pigeon Forge Chamber of Commerce, but I'm not gonna let up on them. They're too good. We need to have CBD up in the business, plugged in, doing this stuff. The money they bring in is crazy. The people love it, like, they need to be a part of the chamber because when I'll go to these meetings and stuff, and the older generation, they don't quite see it how I see it, but they're here just like everybody else, making our guests happy, you know?
Yeah.
Let's professionalize them. But oh yeah, just plugging more, local businesses and stuff. Like, there's a lot of local businesses that I give my guests, like, exclusive discounts to, and I need to write up funny little scripts to spotlight them in a video. More than just like, "This is out in the Glades Arts and Crafts District," and blah, 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 blah. Like, I need to find a way to script it and make it funny. And I work with those businesses for a reason. It's because I appreciate and enjoy those owners, and hopefully they'd be up for I think they'd all be up for something. I just need to do it.
Well,
Yeah.
the coolest thing about this whole industry, right, is we're very community relationship oriented. Obviously, we're providing service to guests, but at the end of the day, like, we're all about relationships and connecting with humans, right? That's probably why it's so
Yep.
easy for you to I wouldn't say miss the trends on TikTok, but in order to have, like, when you have a community like this, and especially now that you're seeing the very serious short-term rental investors and all these other type of kind of characters come into the industry, I think the hardest part for us sometimes, especially you being super creative the way that you are, in order to be a producer, you have to be a consumer sometimes, and being a
Mhm.
consumer, you have to look at it a different lens, right? So you're, like,
Mhm.
scrolling through TikTok for, like, ideas, but then you're not consuming it as if any, millennial or Gen Z is, when they're at night just chilling, aimlessly
Good
scrolling,
point.
you know? So that's probably why you're having a hard time getting these trends, but I think if you just consume for the fun of consuming, maybe you'll have a trend that will pop up and you can get those local businesses on.
Oh, that's been my problem, is just consuming to enjoy consuming stuff. Not bookmarking or dogging
Yeah.
or any of the good ideas I'm seeing. But you kinda put a spin on that in a way that I was like, you just saying, like, maybe not putting myself in the mind of Gen Z and millennials who are just up late at night scrolling mindlessly. Like, I'm having fun making the videos I wanna see. It's worked out, but, yeah, I need to I don't know, you just gave me a thought, actually.
Well, the one of the craziest ones that for me, I this is maybe a little bit on the personal side. I've been enjoying the local cannabis shops here in Denver, and there was one night where I was just scrolling through TikTok and I got caught in this realm of just very beautiful looking bakery content, like the
Mm.
craziest, wildest desserts. And then, of course, I'm hungry. So I'm like scrolling and I can't stop with like these amazing, like this detail in the way that they're like playing with the dough and shaping the croissant and like and they're putting in the filling and just everything. Hours of that content, just
Mm.
hours of it. And I was like, they're not doing anything special outside of showing the process of how they make a certain dessert. And the certain
Yep.
dessert looks amazing. And then at the end, they give out this dessert to all these people outside their shop. And I'm like, wow, they advertise to me without ever putting a logo, without ever saying a word. It's just music and them making this crazy dessert and then giving it away to like people that are just standing outside waiting for this amazing, delicious snack. And it kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow, I didn't it's so obvious, it's not obvious. It's right in
Yeah.
front of me. But I
Yeah.
didn't know. I had no clue. I was just like, "That looks great. I want that. That looks amazing." So, that's just something I've been thinking about. I'm like, "How can?" Because I'm in content all day. So, like, how can we insert an ad without ever making it an ad? Like, all this stuff. So, anyways,
Oh,
maybe I could
yeah.
help with your TikToks.
Oh, I would love that, actually. Have you ever had an idea for one of our videos where you were like, "We should pass that on to Lauren," and just forgot or never had the time?
I don't think so. I'm not that creative. I think my things are funny, and then I, like, make it myself. I'm like, "Oh, just kidding. Need
No,
to not need to need to
did
save
not
that one
come
in
out how I thought.
save that one in drafts." I'm not gonna publish that, but that's also I have a great team of creatives that help can make that. So, if we do have any, I will send them your way because I think there's tons that I just have consumed and haven't thought about forwarding to you. So,
Oh, I
well,
am always
yeah,
open to it. Yeah.
yeah, I'll get that up. All right. So you're trying to grow your portfolio and your property management business, but sometimes owners don't have the best peace of mind when it comes to giving up the keys to their home to an unknown brand or company. And of course, let's be honest, sometimes we hear the horror stories of guests and the bad guests that stay in vacation rentals and throw parties. Well, safely as you covered, because not only do they screen your guests that are staying, but they also ensure that you are covered from all things such as ill intent, stupidity, aka vacation brain, and other things like pet damage and theft. While doing that, you are able to partner with Vintory and grow your portfolio with their marketing platform that helps ensure that you are attracting the right owners to your rental program and growing your business in the destination that you are in. Or if you're in multiple destinations, that works too. So get the links in the show notes because both companies have special offers. And if you don't use a link, but you end up talking to them, guess what? Just tell them that Will Slicker sent you from Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, and they'll get you covered. And you can also let them know that maybe you've heard of them on our platform, hospitality.fm. So, of course, like always, make sure you grab the links in the show notes. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast. Now, back to the episode. Okay, so we completely just derailed this conversation,
Oh, yeah.
and so sorry for all the listeners that had to hear all that, but I love it. I'm a fan. I love this conversation. It's something I've been looking forward to. So to
Thought we
shift
were on a call.
gears, I did too. I honestly was like, oh, I'm just talking to Lauren about late night edibles and scrolling on TikTok. Okay, so one of the things I think you and I connected very much so on, and this is a little bit more of a serious topic than what we've just been touching on. So for any listeners, sorry for the extreme shift here. So there was a post a while ago, and forgive me for not having it open again. I don't know where it went, but you start the post by phrasing this question of, hey everyone, who would you like to see more on stage? Who in the industry isn't on stage enough? Because we see a lot of the same names, faces on podcasts, on conference circuits, all the above. And this, was a post that went deeper into good voices and bad voices and tearing people down versus building people up, and kind of the way that we look at accepting some of that type of behavior, right? The bully mentality, the not wanting to play with others, calling people out for stupid things on social posts that make no sense, but I guess they get the engagement and the impressions.
Mhm.
And you and I think are very aligned on this. But I'll ask you the question first, and then we can go into more conversation. Who would you like to see more on stage? Who would you like to see at some conferences or leading a certain topic within our industry, maybe that isn't showcased enough?
Okay. I actually wrote down some stuff because I thought you might ask this question, and
Let's
I was
go.
hoping that you would. So I wrote down a few of my ideas, and I planned on, like, writing bullet points to why I made these recommendations, but, like, I was getting this stuff down at red lights. So Matthew Loney with Explory. Is he president or CEO of Explory? I'm not sure. Are you aware of Explory?
Oh yeah, Matt and I go back
Okay.
to live res COVID year. That's where we met, Boise, Idaho.
He's such a good one, right? Like a genuinely good dude. And, like, just a tall glass of knowledge. Like, that dude, he has so much to offer. He's always thinking of so much. Like, he is always 2 steps ahead. Every time we talk, he impresses me, and I see where he's going, and he lays the breadcrumbs for me. I'm just like, "Matt, man, that's so cool. That's so cool." He just inspires me to do various things, and, like, I've pitched a video idea to him. This is before I had the bear costume. I pitched a video idea to him, and I was like, "Will Explorer buy this bear costume for me?" He was like, "All day, all day." So I still wanna get Explorer involved in a video somehow, but he was immediately all about that. But it's 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 as simple. No, it's not so simple. He travels all over. He sees all the markets across the nation, across the world. He's constantly reposting really good articles. And you can see why he's always got so many good ideas and thinking 2 steps ahead just because of the articles that he's reposting, like, been there, read that, moving on. So he's just got perspective on markets, perspective on so many different sizes of companies, the different types of operators. He truly values hospitality and gesture and the guest experience, which, like, that is the that is the future. It's the has been, it needs to be the future. Airbnb came along and made everybody think they were kinda reinventing the wheel, but, like, so it really, I feel like it gave us progress and it also stunted progress in a way.
Mhm.
So it almost seemed like the investment in scaling was like, that's the future of hospitality at one point in time, but now I feel like we're calming down and we're all refocusing on hospitality and the guest experience, the homeowner experience, because Explorer caters to the homeowner experience as well.
Mhm.
Explorer is like, let them know about us because that's an advantage to your program signing on with you. So they've got like a little PDF document that I send potential homeowners just about Explorer that they've worked up
Mhm.
and given me, but he's just got perspective on so much. Like I said, he's a genuine guy. He's a nice guy. He's smart. He's well spoken. And I just think there's so much that he could offer us about the future of hospitality and help sculpt the future in a very positive way. I trust that guy, you know? So
Mhm.
like he's at all the conferences and stuff. He knows most people. I don't know if I've ever sat in a room and listened to Matt. You
Mhm.
know, and I would like that. He would land anywhere, and he's funny too, and he would land anywhere. So, like, he's I don't know if he's a new voice or not, but, like, I would like to hear more from him. Another one is so it's this is my property management software company, Brightside. They're going to hate this if they hear this. I'll tell 'em they need to listen. So, these guys, they're small, they're relatively local to the Smoky Mountain area. They don't just have Smoky Mountain clients, but they're out of Maryville, which is just a town over from Pigeon Forge. Their property management software is visually very slim, but operationally, like, incredibly robust.
Mhm.
And, I don't we love them, I wanna say that first and foremost, but we also know, like, just because you love and trust somebody, don't stay blind to what else is out there. So, like, and plus I've just gotten to know so many people with other property management software companies. I take the demos, I have the conversations, and I just see what else is out there, and they all know this already because 'cause we've already laughed about it, but, like,
Mhm.
nothing compares to Brightside as
Mm.
far as the extent to what it's capable of. Like,
That's a
Sarah
big
and T's
endorsement.
mm, I
That's a big one.
endorse them. I endorse them all the time, and then not only is it operationally that impressive, like, if you talk to Hopper, if you talk to Wimstay, which we wanna sign up with Wimstay. I've just been so slow in making that happen, but, like, you talk to any of these other what's the word for your vendor companies, right?
Yeah.
And if they've heard of Brightside, their opinion of Brightside is is wonderful. Like, they're smart, they're quick, they pick up the phone, they extend hospitality to them, like, they're really easy to work with, which is what I experienced. So they're treating me incredibly, like, they're treating us like we're their only clients. It sounds like they're treating everybody like they're their only clients. They
Mhm.
they pick up the phone, they respond to the emails, you're never left waiting. They never give you a ticket number. I can have an idea and pitch it to them, and they'll be like, "Okay, well, give us a few months and we'll make that happen." Or I can pitch them an idea and they'll be like, "You know what? That's actually not gonna take too long. I can get that done in a day," you know?
Mm.
And so, like, they're tailoring it to you, and they are giving hospitality to the hospitality companies, like, it's incredible, and
Which is
so
rare.
it's
It's
so
rare
it's
for a tech company to do that. Yeah.
oh, it's just seems to be unheard of anymore, and so and they're also, I think they're also careful about who they bring on, and they wanna enjoy their partnerships, and they don't wanna scale too quickly, and I know people would love to buy Bright Side Out, but they're happy with what they do. Same with us. So, like, I kind of see a mirror. Oh, they're also family owned and operated. So I kind of see, like, I see us and them. I think they kinda see them and us, but, like, I just have so much respect for what they're doing, and I think that they could teach software companies a thing or 2. Like,
Mm.
seriously, like, the Sarah and T podcast, the I've had it with, like, 3 or 4 people have had it with their property management software companies being so hard to get a hold of. Somebody was like, "It's like being on a Comcast call." That's so scary. This runs everything for you. That's so I can't imagine being put through that. So Sarah and T were just talking about, like, software companies, listen to what people want, listen to what they need. Doesn't have to be that difficult. They're not just speaking in technical terms, they're speaking in customer service terms, communication. And I just feel like Brightside could seriously teach these vendor companies how to be better to their clients in this space. But these are not the kind of guys who would ever wanna be on stage, so that's why I say I bet they're cringing right now, like, I don't know if that would ever happen, but I wanted to say it on the podcast because, like, this company could teach these other companies a thing or 2 about hospitality and customer
Those are
service,
my
which is so neat.
my favorite people to get on stage are the ones that don't wanna be on stage because they probably deserve to be on stage the most compared to most, so I love
Yep.
that, and I've never heard of Brightside, to be honest, so, like, shout out to them if they're listening, I'm so sorry, but never heard of it, but I think it's the more we can highlight companies like Brightside, the better, because obviously there's a whole point of having an audience, right? I wanted to make a comment to you about Matt Loney. I don't know if
Okay.
your ears were burning at like 5 in the morning one time because that guy wakes up at ungodly hours to work and get ahead of the day. But I had a night of very little sleep, and I remember like I either had a text from him or I needed to call him or no, I was getting ready to go to the airport. I was like, screw it, it's 4 in the morning. I'll just text him. He'll get it when his phone's on do not disturb or when he's awake. Literally 5 minutes later, text back. So yeah, call me anytime. I'm up. I was like, what? Why are you up? He's like, dude, I'm up at like 3 in the morning
Yeah.
working and doing emails and all this other stuff. I'm like, what time do you go to bed? He's like 7. I was like, oh God.
Whoa.
It's just like, what do you do? Put your kid down to bed and then all of a sudden just go to bed yourself? And so sorry,
Yeah.
Matt, if you're listening, but like you work crazy
Just
hours, my friend. And but he is one of those just genuine guys you could talk to about anything. He'll give you honest opinion, super smart. And we were talking about you. So I was like, man, I wonder if her ears are burning at like 5 a.m. because we were talking about you with their podcast, Guest X, and we're like, we should hire Lauren to be the host. Like she needs to take over the pod. She needs to, yeah. Oh, we were conniving. We were planning pretty deep. Like we were gonna have you like
what?
we're like, okay, she's gonna do this, and this is the show. We're gonna build this whole concept around Lauren, basically. And then Matt and Brian just ran out of bandwidth, and so did I, and then we just never did anything with it. So
Yep,
there's a
these things
podcast with your
happen.
name on it. So just
Oh,
FYI.
that's hilarious and also sounds awesome. But
Podcast I would tune in for sure. I would for sure be in.
somebody had asked me, like, "Do you plan on ever doing a podcast?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I would ever actually take it upon myself to just up and do a podcast right now." I don't I just like, if somebody handed it to me on this beautiful plate, like it sounds like you guys might do, with the general concept and game plan, I might could get behind that. I think I got a alright podcasting character, like voice or whatever.
Text text Matt Loney, get
Yeah.
your podcast off ground. All right, cool. Got it.
Yeah. But honestly, like, I'm so still just ingrained with the operations and my people, and I have so much fun just focusing on everybody's experience within my company that, like, I love my own personal time too, so, like, I don't
Yeah,
see myself taking away from business or taking away from home to create a podcast when there's so many good ones out there, and there's
there's a
so
ton.
many good ones.
Good and
Um,
bad, but they're all out there. There's a lot.
and it yeah,
Guilty of being part of it, but yeah, just the amount of podcasts from 2018 to today for me in this space is just like, holy crap, there's some that have been around for like 2 years I haven't even heard of, and all of a sudden I get introduced and then I'm like, "Oh, wow. Okay, nice. Another one to the list." So, there's a ton, a lot.
yeah,
Who
yeah.
who'd have thought? The question I get asked all the time, and I would love to know if you get asked something like this too, but everyone's like, "A podcast network for hospitality? Like, how?" that seems a little niche. Like, isn't that kind of small? I was like, actually, you'd be surprised. And I'm curious to know, do people get shocked when you kind of tell them, like, hey, I run a vacation rental management company in the Smoky Mountains and blah, 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 blah. Do people ever question you like, oh, like, is that enough business to be like a business? It seems like a small niche. Like, I don't know if you ever get stuff like that, especially around our industry when it comes to short-term rentals and the types of characters that we have, involved now.
I've never gotten it quite like that, but the response is it's very similar. Somebody will be so they'll just, "Oh, like Airbnb?
Yeah.
You do like
Yeah.
Airbnbs?" Yeah. And so you just kind of be like, "Oh, no, no, we are, 29-year-old family-owned and operated business. We've been doing it before Airbnb. Airbnb could take a few notes. Ha ha ha." We get to laughing. And then I just dive into what I'm doing, and I love it so much. I'm so passionate about it that, like, I hype up what we're doing, the Smoky Mountains, and so by the end, people are, like, radicalized on vacation rentals, and I just and s so, like, I've become friends with her name is Jessica, she owns and runs pigeonforge.com. It's like a DMO in the area, and she and I have just gotten she approached me one day at a breakfast, and she was like, "Hey, I love your videos, I think we're cut from the same cloth. We both seem to be weirdos." And so we exchanged numbers, and we've been, like, inseparable ever since. But she just lets me nerd out on conversations about hospitality and vacation rentals and everything that goes into it, and I'm sending her LinkedIn links, and she's right there with me, nerding out with me. She's fascinated by it too, and so, she'll tell me from time to time, she'll be like, "Oh, threw you out there again, just I told him everything that you were telling me." So, like, I get people hyped up on it. I mean, how could you not be? I think our industry is just fascinating.
It's very
Fascinating.
fascinating. Very
Yeah.
fascinating. The characters, the concepts, the content, all the above. Like, it's so
Oh,
many there's just it's ongoing. It's never ending for me. I just feel like there's I've had a lot of people be like, "Okay, how many podcasts are you ever afraid like you can run out of guests?" And it's like, "No, because there's so many people doing this at a professional level, at a host level that are just so fascinating." And I think that's the coolest part about kind of what we do, right? Like you get to meet so many cool guests. Especially I love that you guys are local. Like you have an office. You have
mhm.
people in person. And my company we don't. We're spread out. We have no in-person anything, which sucks because I'm now after 3 years of being a work from home, you know, person, man, I wanna be at your office playing Jenga, you know? Like, I like, I miss that type of stuff. So, I
I've heard
yeah,
that a
so, like,
lot.
it's just not a lot of I don't know, it's just it's one of those industries I just think it's special, and I'm sure other industries say the same thing about theirs, but I just truly think you look at hospitality as a whole and the sliver of pie that short-term rentals and vacation rentals take up, it it's insane. Like it's endless. It's very much endless. And so there's so many opportunities to do cool things, to talk to cool people. I've always told even like my nieces who are just now getting into like graduating high school and about to graduate high school and moving from middle school to high school, and my number one things for them when they were talking about getting a job, I'm like, look, my first job, I was a sign flipper for pizza, Little Caesars pizza, and then I washed dishes for like 3 hours at the end. But I honestly think if you don't know what you want to do after high school, work in a hospitality business, you'll have so many pieces of whether it's accounting, guest service, security, technology, maintenance, house, like there's so many like operations and logistics. There's so many industries and skill sets that we touch that can really like amplify anyone's career by just working in a hotel, working in a vacation rental management company, like having that type of experience and getting exposed to the different businesses inside of it. Yeah, it's endless. So I think that's like my always go-to advice for people younger than me. It's like if you don't know what to do, go work at a hotel, go work at a vacation rental. You'll find something. Like there's almost everything for everybody.
That's fantastic. That is so true. It's like one business, but it's operating reservations, it's operating maintenance, laundry, housekeeping, like, it's all these businesses within one, basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they can ki and the guests and the vacations and the member like, they can just
Yeah.
kinda, like, be like, "What tickles my fancy?" Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
So, like,
marketing's a big role, like, what you guys do, like, you could be the marketing manager at Antebellum's, and you could just be editing funny videos all day long. That could be your job. Like, not saying you're hiring for that, but, like, that could literally be someone's day to day, like, in the grand scheme of things.
right, right. It's like, oh, man, especially when you're family owned and operated, it's like grassroots as it get, like, you just do anything. You just do anything.
Yeah.
That's another thing that makes the videos possible. I can literally just do anything. I only have my dad to answer to.
And now a bear costume that you have to, like, maintain.
Oh god, that yes, yes. She's still doing alright. She's shedding so much though, oh my gosh, it's just gonna wither away one day.
Oh, no.
Sheds like
Oh,
crazy.
no.
Oh,
Oh, it's so wild.
kind of off topic, but kinda similar, but, like, somebody being like, "Really? That sounds kind of niche," and just, like, making assumptions and stuff. Somebody because I do the videos I don't think they realize that I'm still running a business and, like, I'm still doing actual business stuff. They think I just, like, do videos and marketing and stuff, and so they were like I was working with a content creator or she's just like a brand ambassador, basically stayed and then made videos and stuff. She did a very good job. But she was like, "If you wouldn't mind reaching out to your actor in the bear costume, I do just have, like, one line for them." And I was like, "Oh, I'm the bear." She said, "You're the bear?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "How do you have time to be the bear and do the social networking?" And I'm just like, "Well, I d I don't have time to hire an actor." I just thought that was hilarious that she thought I was hiring an actor for the bear.
Wait, so you're
I
telling
don't
me
know.
that you do more than just make videos and content all day long? What the heck?
Right,
Who would have thunk?
right.
Yeah, no,
You
literally,
actually know your shit.
my mom, I think, is in that world of like, oh, I see your podcast on Facebook. Man, you have so much time to do other things outside of podcasting. What do you do all day? I'm like, what? You think I just do that one episode and I'm out? I'm like, see, I just made my money. Let's go. Yeah, there's so much more,
Right.
mom. Yeah, it's like, come on,
I'm
get
just
with the times.
good at podcasting about hospitality experiences out of thin air.
Yeah, and that's all I do. That's it. There's no people to work with, there's no editing, there's no nothing. There's no scripting, no planning. Yeah, no running a team of 30
Yeah.
other podcasts, yeah, the whole thing.
Ooh,
But, yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun times. But enough about me. I wanna like, I know we're running over our normal slick talk runtime, but I think there's a lot of and I feel so bad for all the listeners. We have jump topics, and I love it because I think it's just a natural vibe of like how we are as humans. But going into the voices thing again, I'm curious to know. You mentioned Matt, you mentioned
Yeah.
Brightside, and I want to know kind of your stance on because you made a comment too, and you made it around Matt saying not that Matt's a new voice, but more of a relevant voice. And I think a lot of people, when I at least did my post that you and I kind of went back and forth on, and for all the listeners, I'll tag all the posts that me and Lauren are kind of talking about. But going into when we talk about voices, right, we're not talking about when we say new voices, we're not talking about young, where it's like someone who's 21 and is a new voice. Like we're talking about new voices in the sense of relevancy and amplification. I think mostly I could be maybe picking some wrong words there, but just because you've been in the industry for a long time doesn't mean you're an old voice, right? Like you're not old because you've been in the industry. You just are a voice that has existed prior to most people. And at the end of the day, it's all about relevance in the topic and like the way you use that voice, I think specifically is kind of what I'm learning with
Mhm,
podcast and kind of growing and I hate the term influence, but like when you create something like this, you have that word that usually gets attached to you. So, anyways, without rambling and trying to deteriorate from the topic, we've seen some drama in the industry with bigger operators or operators that have been an older voice, quote unquote, you know, throwing some shade, throwing a little bit of flair to the content, and we see people buy into this, and it obviously I get it from a marketing standpoint. Bravo, good job. You're getting people to engage with your stuff. Is it the way I would go about it? Not even close. But I get there's different strokes for different folks. I would love to know your kind of thought on the power of voice and like the way you use yours through funny content and you uniting the community of vacation rental operators that are focused on you know, highlighting the good and rather than the bad and other things like that, because I think you've done a really well or done a really good job at that through not just your content, but the way you present yourself. Yes, you can be funny and silly on videos, but at the end of the day, I look at you as a leader, like we were just talking about making a podcast around you, right? Like, let's create something because your voice, I think, is relevant. You have a really good approach and you have really good intentions with that sincerity and like hospitality focus. So I would love to know your overall perspective on all of that when it comes to voices and the way they're used and X, Y, and Z.
Wow, Will. That question was all over the place. I love it, and I'm gonna do my best to answer here because I got really excited listening to your question that I actually forgot that I would be the one to have to answer that at the end. Yes, that post. So that th I you know, I was actually formulating that post shortly after the Burma Executive Summit, which was amazing. I loved the hotel we were at, got to hang out with some amazing people. We had a nice little drunken pool day at the tail end before we had to catch our flights.
So
It
that, by
was
the way, that post, that picture of you and Robin Cragen and like everybody there, I
oh,
was, gosh, I was FOMO for sure.
star-studded. It was a
Yeah.
star-studded event, yeah, and I felt like a star at I've never been to such a nice establishment before. My room service bill, poolside bill, so high. That was definitely, like, therapy that week. But, okay, so it was amazing, and I would I would do it again in a heartbeat, but my takeaways weren't so much from the content I was hearing or, what I was seeing on screen. My biggest takeaway was how the room was reacting to the panels or the speakers or to whatever was going on stage. So I thought it was going to be very like radically different from Verma Verma. And in ways it very much was. But the ways in which it wasn't is kind of what made me think these things and then create this post. Essentially, what I was seeing was it was the executives coming to this. It was the executives. It was high level. It should have been, like, highly involved, almost I was expecting workshops and stuff.
Hmm.
So, I was seeing people, like, desperate to ask their questions to the person on stage. Like, even though they might have never said, like, "I'm gonna be taking Q&A," people were raising their hands. A couple times, somebody just shouted their question, and then they would do their question, there'd be some back and forth, they'd continue pressing the speaker, pressing the panel or whatever to get more information, because like, now is their chance to ask these impressive figures these questions. They might not get it again, and it's going to be a relevant question because it's coming from an executive from a property management company. Like, very specific types of people in this room. People were just desperate to interact, desperate to ask questions, desperate to workshop. Like, I just saw how badly people wanted involved, I guess. And so I was just thinking, you're still gonna have to have panels, you're still gonna have to have speakers. It's up to them to do things differently when they're given the stage. So I was like, okay, if I were given the stage, kind of how would I do things? But it all boiled down to just like it is so crucial with with the expenses that goes into it, the time that goes into it, the energy, the recovery when you get back from it, the fire hose, and it's, like, not really a fire hose of in-depth information. It's like scrolling on social media. It's just like blah, 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 blah. You get these little nuggets, largely for me, like, I get these little nuggets, I take them home, I expand on them over time, but yeah, it was just and please know that I'm at the with the executive summit, I'm not saying anything was irrelevant, far from it. They were talking about the storm that's coming and the contingency plans, like, it was hyper relevant. I just saw how much more people wanted, how much more involved they wanted to be, and so, yeah, that's when I was like, it's just people are so desperate for wherever they give their time and attention in a room with a speaker, they are they just want so badly that nugget, that fruit, and for the information to be relevant, for that information to be what did I say here? Relevant, actionable and positive impacts. Like those nuggets, I come home, I expand on them, I turn those into actionable items. There are so many times where I feel like, "Oh my god, I could get these people an actionable item right here." Like, here are the 3 things. If you're interested in doing X, here are the 3 things that you should go home, literally jot them down, jot your ideas down or, find the information and put it in one place, but, like I want to give people actionable items. We see it on LinkedIn all the time, people giving each other actionable items, inspiring each other, encouraging each other, giving each other ideas and stuff. Like, we need that same thing in the conference setting. And I know it's tricky because, like, you either gotta pay people to go up on stage or they have to be selling something. Vendors, there's gotta be some practicality involved. You can't just put your favorite people on stage and say, "Let's learn from them," because it is a business, you know? So that just, like I don't it made me realize, like, there does need to be change, and that change needs to be motivated by the people who want and benefit that change. So it needs to be the people speaking out and being like, that's who I think that I can learn more from. And I'm just like 100 other companies, 200 other companies. So if I'm wanting to hear from them, surely their information is going to be relevant to a bunch of other people. But like, we are their audience. So we really need to take it upon ourselves to make it very clear what we want to see, what we want to hear, what we want to experience. Yeah. Yeah, and so it's so new voices. New voices is not new to the scene. I
Mhm.
I really don't wanna hear from anybody who's new to the scene. Everybody on my list, and we just got through 2 people, have been doing this for years, decade, 2 decades, longer, but they're just now coming into their own or doing really impressive stuff or, feeling really proud about themselves or finally get a grasp on something and being like, I can share this with others because I care about the long game, not my immediate game and hoarding my tricks and my secrets and just doing things for me and myself and I. Somebody will copy you eventually, but like sharing it because I care about the long game and I want good investors in this market and yada, yada, yada. So, like, everybody on my list has been doing it for years, but I've never sat down and listened to them when they're on stage. They're and they're who I wanna hear from because their perspective is relevant to the majority of people in the room, not in the room. So, yeah, new voices. I'm not saying I wanna hear from new people, just people who could create a lot of good fruit from being given a stage.
I love that. And the big takeaway from your answer, but also from what I've been seeing, because I've only attended the VRMA International Conference, as that
Mhm,
organization puts on conferences outside of that. The first 2 years, I was there just to meet everybody I've never met on LinkedIn, where it's like,
mhm.
hey, we interact, we engage, we've collaborated, you do on the show, blah blah blah. That was like kind of my first initial. This last year in Vegas was my first year. I was like, I'm gonna go to at least three. I needed to give myself a rule of three. Go to three talks, three panels, something. Just go absorb some content outside of networking in the vendor hall. I will say what you said, the audience wants more. We're obviously there to absorb as much as we can through the fire hose that conferences are, whether it's VRMA or not. There's tons of other conferences I've walked away from, and I'm like, I need the recovery time because of that. But I think the audience becoming more than the audience, right? Like I always challenge myself and like within our podcast, and we're like, how do we get beyond the audio? How do we get listeners to go beyond the audio? How do we get VRMA at conference attendances or attendees beyond becoming an audience member? How do we get them involved in the conversation? How do we and I've had the most takeaway moments from conferences like VRMA through those conversations, through
Mhm,
sitting at a panel, hearing five people talk, taking maybe one or two things away, and then turning, once they let us loose, turning to the people next to me or whoever I'm there with and talking about it and going deeper, right? And like I think that's the hardest part at a conference setting is to go deeper and more and
Yep.
less unless you're at a retreat, right? Like, I know Matt Landau's doing his Keystone retreat. So, that's something like I feel like I can get I
Mm,
$5,000 to be there for sure. Like, get me in. I wanna go deep. I don't wanna go wide and, like, kinda surface level. So, I think the
that
go
that
ahead.
is what our industry needs. He's
Yeah,
onto it. He's
yeah,
onto it. Yes. Yes, he's building something incredible, and they hype it up with a post after it's all said and done. The
of
long-term
course.
lasting effects on dozens of people is is so impressive. So, good on you, Matt. Good on you, man.
100%.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
how
Sorry, I
I
didn't mean to interrupt. It's just
no.
he's just doing incredible work.
No, I love Matt, and anytime I'm in Miami, I always hit him up. I'm like, "Let's get a beer now." He a great guy. I would love to know for you, how does or and maybe you're even thinking, how does this conversation, how does the audience go beyond being the attendee, right? Like, I think, how do
Mm,
we as an industry create a stage that can go deeper? Maybe without having to attend a retreat, without having to attend VRMA, because even in podcasting, like, yes, we have a good reach, but man, it's still creating the stage is the hardest part. I think you can have the conversation, it's creating the environment and the stage and the ability to carry it through, going deep.
mhm,
And I don't know, it's something I'm thinking about all the time.
mhm.
And knowing that you and I are very much in line with the way we see this kind of conversation happening, I'm always curious what other people think. So I'd love to know if you have any thoughts on it. Just what that looks like to you.
Yeah. So, like, one of the things after last Burma that I started doing, it's like 5 other women property managers. We get together, Zoom. We Zoom for, like, 1 hour every month. We're pretty good about it. Sometimes we have to put things off, but every month with no agenda whatsoever. It's just like, "All right, who wants to kinda jump into this first?" And largely, we're starting off with, like, here's kind of the problem that I've been having this week. Here is how I've handled it. Do you guys think I handled that right? Do you have any advice? Or I'm gearing up for this meeting and I am so anxious about it. And I'm worried that I'm just like gonna get too hyped up on this and forget to focus. Like, has anybody been through this before? What do you guys think is fair wages for this position? Or I'm thinking about letting this person go. Can I run some of the scenarios by you guys? So, like, it's 5 women in a room. We're from different markets, and we're going deep, candid, wearing ourselves and our hearts on our sleeves. So, like, that little group was pretty much formed out of, like, I think the trust is pretty mutual here. I think the trust and respect is pretty mutual here. Like, you can't just throw anybody together and
No.
think it's gonna be as fruitful and as healthy as this has proven to be. But, yeah, this, like, there's no NDA, but we live, like, by an NDA, and we're helping each other solve real problems, give each other actionable items. I might be talking and somebody's like, "Oh my god, that's good. Hold on one second. When you're done, I wanna touch back on that." And then she tells me something she's done similar, and I'm like, "I didn't even think about that," Like, that is like having a stage, workshopping down at the tables with the people, letting them raise their hands, Q&A. It goes on for 1 hour, but then we have each other's numbers and we can stay online for a bit longer. And it's just creating that time, putting it on the calendar, working your month around that to make it happen, and then anything can go. And half of us will have we know what we wanna talk about, the other half will just, vibe and riff but that's been incredible, and that's very akin to the networking that happens in between
Mm,
classes and over meals and after hours. It's as powerful as the networking and as actionable as we hope the discussions and panels and presentations go. Like, it's all those things. It's been so supplemental throughout the year. I used to look forward to the conferences because it's like it's so good to go and know you're in the same boat with all these people, and then you're sad when it's over. Well, it's just, like, been supplemental throughout the year, and you're helping each other improve. You are helping each other improve. Like, when you're going to a panel, you should be there expecting for somebody to help you improve. Yeah, anyway, you should expect to go to these conferences and improve yourself, improve your teams, improve your business.
I love it. I I think you and I love that answer too. I think the intentionality behind finding that group that has trust established as a base to already continue the ongoing conversations had at the conference, had at the networking, had at that is such a good thing. A lot of us, I look forward to conferences so much because of I know I'm going to be in the room with some of my favorite people. I'm going to meet so many new people. But yeah, then like you said, the post conference blues come in, and then I'm sad for like 3 days after, and then I get back on my horse and I keep going. I think
Mhm,
supplementally, ingraining that into our everyday is so important. Being an operator, it's so hard to force yourself to allow some stuff like that that aren't work, but they're work adjacent, maybe,
mhm.
to come in because you're like, "No, I gotta put my head down. I gotta do this. I gotta build, blah, blah, blah." So, I think the answer is a great answer, and I gave you a heads up on this before we started, but we've gone way over our normal slick talk runtime. And so I want to respect your time because I know you have probably more to get back to today. I'm sure I could probably I could talk to you all day. I know this.
I know. No,
I
like,
think we could
seriously.
easily have a 5-hour podcast going if we wanted. But that will be for
By
later.
the end, just
That's for
slurring,
slurring,
just
completely not making sense. But hey,
singing every word to Bohemian Rhapsody
oh,
together.
don't
I
even
need
get me
to get
started.
to know.
He's just a poor boy in a poor family. Okay,
Oh,
we are going so
serious.
far. I love it.
Okay,
Okay,
yes.
so
Focus, focus.
I want all the podcast listeners to go the YouTube version or the live version on LinkedIn and watch this stuff because it's hilarious. I love our interactions. It's great. Okay, so I gave you a heads up. Every guest before the next guest gets to ask a question without knowing anything about them, who they are, what their name is, etc. So you had a guest before you named Kevin Reardon, who operates two hotels out in Jersey Shore area, but he got started with short-term rentals first with his dad, and it was around the same time period as you, 2004. No, not 2014. He got started around 2014. His
Okay.
question to you: what's one book that you would say has changed your life?
Wow. Changed my life. Well, to avoid being heady about some of the personal revelations, a lot of people are gonna like this answer and probably have read this book, but The Art of Hospitality has really been incredible because it's honestly hard to it's an easy read, but it's hard to get through because you're jotting notes all the time. It's given me so many good ideas. It's it's just highlighted some of the good ideas that I've had, and I'm just like, "Ah, blah, blah, blah," and then you hear it in this book from this impressive character saying that he's put into action some of the ideas and thoughts that you've had, like, oh, it just it yeah, it 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 continues to make positive improvements in my life. I have a whole it's several pages in a notebook of ideas from unreasonable hospitality that I am in expanding on and fleshing out and trying to create projects from, and it's all geared towards guest satisfaction, of course, because that's what he's all about,
Yeah,
unreasonable hospitality. Truly next level, unnecessary hospitality. And so that one, it's just that is an incredibly fruitful book. Re No matter how much time you give it, you will walk away with relevant, something actionable, and something positive to benefit from yourself, but to absolutely benefit your teams. That is a book for everybody. So, yeah, I'd say Unreasonable Hospitality. I'm not finished with it yet because I've started so many projects as a result of it.
that's a great
Yeah.
sign. That means it's having its
Yeah.
impact. So it's changing your
Mm,
life. I love it. It's a great book. I started listening to it on my way home from Barcelona, and I have not finished it yet because I like to read and listen at the same time. I'm a little weird, but I
mm.
haven't gotten the
I'm
book in the mail yet. So it's actually a great if you get distracted really easily
I do
when reading a book, it's game changing. Listen to the audible version while you read.
yeah.
Game changer. It's a little slower. I'm not gonna lie. You have to listen to someone talk and have pauses and all that stuff, but It helps me if I truly wanna focus. I can't do it any other way. So,
Oh, I
again,
think I yeah, when you said that, I was like, "Whoa, that could actually very much work for me."
yeah,
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
a terrible reader.
Same, same. Lauren, I love talking to you. I need to know if without knowing who's next on the podcast at all, whether they're in the industry or not, what's your one question for them that you would love to know? Anything under the
Okay.
sun. No
Yeah.
limits.
What's the last thing that's happened to you at the office, be it with a guest or with your coworkers and your peers, that was, like, genuinely hilarious? Like, y'all laughed, y'all had a great time, somebody almost peed their pants, and, like, you had to thought, like, this like, th there could be a TV show about this, like, this could be a scene, this could be a SNL skit, like, when's the last time just something genuinely hilarious has happened at work, and what was that? Yeah.
I love that. That'll be a good story. So maybe we'll put that in the beginning of the next episode so we can all get a good laugh before the podcast runs.
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
probably worth it. I love it. Okay, so Lauren, the next and last final question that I have for every guest, no matter what, I think I can already assume the answer for you, but I want to give you an opportunity. If you had one link to share with the listeners to connect with you beyond the podcast, because I'm all about going
Mhm.
beyond the audio, what would that one link be? Where
Oh,
would you
it would
send them?
be to our link tree, and I don't know what that link is. Off the top of my head, Linktree, the slash Antebellum's Cabin Rental, something like that. It would be our link tree. This is what we have created a QR code out of, built a cute little branding thing, put it on all of our refrigerators, but the link tree, this is where I give them the coupons for all the local businesses that I work with to get my guests, like, exclusive discounts. This is also where we've written up our recommendations, like, what can you do in 48 hours and a weekend trip? Like, here's our genuine local recommendations, done it, had a blast. Wine recommendations, coffee places. I give family recipes in that. I teach you how to be a good friend to the Smoky Mountains. If you're gonna go into the Smoky Mountains and occupy time and space and be there and eat, like, how can you be good to those mountains that are so good to you? You're here because of them. Like, give something back, and that's where, we post our videos as well. Our website's on there too, of course, but that's just, like, all of our fun stuff. Like, that link tree is how we have fun, and so I think, like, the caption on it is, "It might be your vacation, but we like to have fun too."
I love that. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay, I am making sure we're getting that link tree. All the listeners like and subscribe to that link tree. I think that's going to become our new weekly source as slick talkers in the world to constantly go to and reference to because I think we all need a little bit of not just your vacation, it's ours too type of vibe in our
Mhm,
life. So I love that. I
mhm.
love that a ton. Lauren,
Yep.
like, holy shit, we've gone almost 2 hours completely on a sober on a podcast. So I wanted to say thank you for all the listeners. You're not getting the full 2-hour version. We had a couple off-road, off-road moments, and I am here for them. So, but I can't believe I'm actually not shocked, to be honest. Like, out of the one person that I was looking forward to having a podcast with, I kind of figured you were the one that we could go super long, like hours. So I just am really thankful for the time you've put in and just the conversation and yeah, all the fun, all the laughs along the way. It's been great.
Me too, man, and y'all, the reason that a lot has to be edited out is because we kind of forgot we were on a podcast sometimes,
Yeah.
and went deep, got weird, but yeah, no, it's been so easy and so enjoyable. I'd do this with you anytime. Let's do this over some beverages sometime. Yep, yep.
Yep.
And I'm just sad I can't give you a hug right now because 'cause I'm confident it would be such a good hug.
Amen. I'm a big hugger. I'm a big fan of hugging. I think
Yes.
hugging needs to happen more. Whether we're yeah, especially the virtual. Okay, like for anyone listening to, it's so wild to see people on a virtual like, I see your profile picture every day on LinkedIn through a post or a comment or something like that, and then, like, meet you in person. I'm just like, I can't wait. It's gonna be epic. We're just gonna
The
be
vibes, the energy.
big
Yes.
hug energy, big hug energy.
Oh,
Lauren, thank you so much again. For all the listeners, thank you for staying through and getting to this point in the podcast. We love and appreciate you. So like and subscribe to the link tree in the link in the show notes below, and we will make sure to see you all again next week. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to our show partners for making Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, possible. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we would love to connect with you outside of the podcast. So you can follow us on all of our social media channels for daily hospitality content, or find us on slicktalkthepodcast.com. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm your host, Will Slickers, and we will see you guys all again next week.